everybody, my name is Maggie and today I'm visiting the Queensland International Orchid Fair. As you can tell, there's a torrential downpour, so a little bit of a bad weather today, but that's not going to stop us. I actually know not a lot about orchids, so I'm pretty excited to see some unfamiliar ones, some interesting ones, and maybe I might buy a few, who knows. See you there! As soon as you walk into the room, all of your senses are bombarded by the explosion of orchids. The 2022 Queensland International Orchid Fair was truly spectacular. From the most breathtaking displays to the daintiest blooms, they had a whole lot of everything. Vendors from all over the state converged for 2 whole days of orchid extravaganza. Some were potted, some were bottled, some were mounted, some were kept in pure sphagnum moss, look at it glow. Some needed neither. Wow, look at this purple on it. It's just like literally like growing around the side of it. Fame Orchids Nursery has over 40 years experience, and his advice was better than any instructional video I could have ever made for you.
All orchids are epiphytes. On their leaf surface they have little tiny pinholes called stomata. In the morning the sun activates the stomata to open up, and they photosynthesize the light from the sun, convert that into sugars and carbohydrates, store their nutrients in their pseudobulbs, so give it a good drink, let the water run straight through, and feed them once a week in the morning on a bright sunny day. You spray it on the leaves, not the media. Anything in the media that's going to compost your bark down, add salts and change the pH. Fungicide once a month, that stops any black spots getting anywhere.
This is the exact moment I met my wishlist orchid in person. Oh, this is it! This is it! Yeah, you could tell that I could barely keep myself together.
So during summer they need to stay wet because they actually come from around the edges of the Amazon forest. It floods in summer, so they basically live in a swamp all summer, and then in winter when the waters contract they go dormant, they drop their leaves because they're deciduous, keep the bulb, but that's why it's got no leaves because it drops them during winter. And when that happens you stop watering them all together until they get their new growth in spring. That's 2 months or 3 months or whatever it takes for them to get their new growth. Don't water them during winter, they need to stay bone dry.
Did you know that there are up to 30,000 different species of orchids? That makes it one of the largest families of plants on the planet. In my naivete, I wanted to display the names of the orchids I came across for all of you. That was until I learned how gigantic the orchid family was. You had on one hand orchid species which naturally occurred within the wild. Their nomenclature included the genus and the species name. On the other hand, man-made hybrids consisted of the genus and then a zazzy hybrid name. It doesn't stop there with the nomenclature. Sometimes you'll get 2 species that decide to join forces and make hybrid babies. That's when you'll see an X between the genus and the species name. Also, when it comes to man-made orchid hybridization, if you experimentally create a phenomenal orchid hybrid with superior features and may be bequeathed with a cultivar name by orchid experts, they're kind of like the Ministry of Magic of the wizarding world, but the orchid world. Recognizing my own inadequacy on the subject, I realized that it would have been near impossible for me to do orchids justice. Look, if it was up to me, this entire video would just be a compilation of me saying wow for the billionth time. Here's the proof. Wow. Wow. Just wow. Just wow. But in all honesty, some of my favorite moments came when I realized that a few of these orchids had the most wonderful smells. I can actually smell it. Orchids R Us is a 3rd going on 4th generation family business.
These guys here, if you have a smell of that, actually smells like chocolate. Like smaller ones, you look at the flower spikes. Flowers only about this big, but a little bit of perfume and just really nice.
You bet I tried smelling every single orchid after that.
This one doesn't have a smell.
They also told us a really cool story.
60 years ago. Karen's grandfather used to grow and sell Phalaenopsis flowers. Back in the war days, he actually had the red timber telephone boxes. He paint the glass white and used to grow the Phalaenopsis in those, and he had about 20 of them in his backyard.
Oh, wow.
Do you guys still have that? That would be incredible.
The
It's like
phone
a
box
glass
would be worth
house.
more than the
Right, yeah, that's so true. This has been one of my favorite experiences of the year. My husband, of course, got a couple of Haworthias and cacti at an Orchid International Fair. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Bye!